another update. I am working on the heater. Put that around so you can see it. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually expecting to find a lot of rust inside of here because the upper cowl has been dripping water into this heater. So yeah, in fact I can see rust in there. Well, anyway, so that is what I'm doing. I'm just going to put this on time lapse as I tear this all apart. These heaters are pretty simple to tear apart. Just a few screws, a few clips, and kabango. Oh, look at all that rat junk down in the heater. This probably got accumulated in there when my car was parked over at my brother's house in Central Oregon. Critters over there like to make nests in heaters and chew on wires. Just a basic cleanup, get all the crud out of it. Some of it was rusty, like that air door. Wow, really hard to get apart there for a second. Okay, so yeah, there is an exhaust fan that's mounted up on, it's on a stand there up above. And it just so happens that the exhaust fan is right behind the camera. So it pulled all of the rust and paint and everything up past the camera and it actually made quite a mess of it. A little bit of cleanup to do on the camera after this. But you'll notice the metal's coming clean. I bought one of those CJ kits. It's for 65 through 68, I think. And so there's a couple of different air door flapper foams. And that came in pretty handy when I needed foam in the back for the side marker lights. This is not an original fan motor, by the way, or squirrel cage. Just put a coat of primer on that metal piece there for the induction into the squirrel cage. I'm using 3M number 90 high strength spray adhesive, but that can was running pretty shy, so I ended up having to get my can of contact cement and start using that and save the spray for the little places where I needed it rather than the contact cement. Here I got a little repair work to do to the actual case. It's amazing what 300,000 miles will do to a thing. Using the wire brush there just to scuff up the surface of the plastic. Hey, do you like my broken broom handle over there? There's my drying rack. It's right there in the path of the furnace output, so I get like 120-degree air blowing across those parts when the furnace comes on. I did have to stop and service the furnace, though, because the first thing it did was blow a bunch of dirt out into the paint. There's my can of contact cement, and the contact cement is a lot more severe to the paint. So because the paint was kind of green, it was dissolving the paint as I was using it, but it all worked out. It's interesting watching the glue dry on the foam. As the contact cement, I put it on, it curls, and then as it dries, it flattens out. It's funny. I'm trying to remember how it goes back together. I didn't take any pictures. Feels good getting the heater and the lights and everything done on the car.
I'd rather be finishing up all that gooey junk from underneath so I could just be done with the underside of the car. But, I ordered some seam sealer through Barry and Amazon, and it spent 8 days in California just bouncing between two cities, and I still haven't seen it. Probably be another week before I get it. So, this stuff has to be done, and it's good to get it done. So the project is moving forward. It's just frustrating that a simple little order like this, a simple thing from CJ's or from Amazon, and it takes weeks to get here. See, there I am using the number 90 spray adhesive, and boy, it's just, there's almost none left, so I have to be very sparing. Here I'm checking that rubber ring that seals it to the plenum. It seemed like it was longer than the original one. So I think I'm going to have to do something about that.
I wanted to show you a modification that I'm doing to the plenum. This is one of those plastic aftermarket plenums I got back in 1983, I think. So what I wanted to show you, I don't know if you can see it in there, but what I have done is added a piece of foam to the flapper. And the purpose of that foam is to close off a portion of this cutout here. Now on the original cardboard one, this is blocked off and only this much goes to the passenger's feet. So I don't mind having the extra heat going over there when I have it on heat, but what I didn't like was losing pressure to the defrost. So what I did was I put this little flapper in there so that the foam will plug off that portion of it. It still leaves this part open here, but it increases the volume of air going to the defrost. I mean, after all, it's just one of the necessities in Oregon. Your windows are fogged up even on days you wouldn't expect them to be fogged. So just to demonstrate what I'm up against here in Oregon, the humidity is so high and we have these wild temperature swings. This is what happens. Condensation everywhere. Like here in my breezeway where it's not raining at all, there's so much condensation that the concrete is completely wet. And this is why gotta have a decent defroster and stuff like that on the car, because this can happen any time and your windows just completely fog over. Anyway, hey, yeah, Oregon. It's an adventure. Modern cars have a ton of air and pressure that comes up to defrost, as well as air conditioning to dehumidify the air. On this thing, there's only the hot air and the movement of it that defrosts the window. You'd get those two little holes that would start where you could see through it, and they would slowly grow, and it would take forever before you can see through it. But this plenum, with the new and improved hoses, with this little mod here, I should get a lot better defrost. I mean, this thing worked better than the original one to begin with, but now, as long as that piece of foam doesn't curl with age and then it starts screwing everything up, but I can keep an eye on it because I can see this. After everything's all installed, I can check it after a while and make sure it's doing okay, and if I don't like it, I can just grab it and rip it out of there. So the heater has gone pretty well. I don't know if you noticed when I was assembling it, but this is not an original fan. This fan came out of a Fairmont or something like that. Has a slightly bigger motor and it's got a bigger squirrel cage. And once again, more volume, more static pressure to defrost the windows. It's just, Hey, if you live in these climates, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You guys down in California, you can just ignore this because you don't even need a heater. But defrost is one of the essentials up here. And anyway, so that was just my overall improvements. I'm hoping that the aluminum heater core does better. Okay, so here's the original heater core. It was showing signs of leakage right along this seam here, and has a date on it, a production date of 3 of 83. And that would make sense. In 83, I was putting the T5 in the car, so I was going through a cycle of doing maintenance and upgrades. Putting in a heater core at that time was probably what I did. So original heater core, this heater core. Seems to me I've replaced it more often than that. Like I had to replace it in the 70s as well. You know, about every 12 years, 10 years. But if this one was built in 83, put in my car in 83, that means it's lasted over 30 years. That is really good. Twice as long as what I would expect, but it was leaking. So, you know, that's one of those things where you turn on the defroster, and because there's coolant on your heater core, it fogs up the window instead of defogs it. Let me open this up right here. It was slightly deformed in this area from the force of clamping this up and compressing this rubber thing.
That's the ring, Don.
I ended up having to use my heat gun to reshape it. I used this JB Weld plastic bonder, structural adhesive. It's a really good, strong urethane adhesive. It actually worked pretty good. It hardened up today and it's pretty strong. But I don't want to put that kind of force on this, so I get the feeling I'm going to just go ahead and trim a little bit of this rubber off to reduce the amount of force that this bracket has on it. I mean, the whole corner of this thing it's being pushed down by this so hard, and then this corner is being pulled up real hard, so the whole thing is deformed. See, this thing doesn't fit that well anymore, this door, because this part of the box is twisted. So anyway, I'm just you know, trying to fix stuff up as much as possible, but it went pretty well. The doors all have new foam. I bought one of those kits from CJ's. There you can see I've got new it's all painted, derusted, painted, has new rubber on it, new foam. So it looks good. I think we're good to go. This heater core has a ridge on the tank. The original ones don't, which makes it a little extra tight because this piece here hits the ridge and these pieces here don't seal to the side. So it makes it a little tougher. There's a lot more compression going on here, holding this heater core in. So that makes the case a lot tighter. That's a FYI, just so you know.
I had to open the door so I could see down in there and spread that housing apart to get it over that foam.
With new foams on, it's tight in every way. But it does fit. Well, come on. So you can see how it's a little extra tight here. You just kind of have to work it a bit. Get the foam and everything to line up. But once you do, and these little clips just pop right in there. I don't necessarily like to just, sometimes they go together okay, but if they don't, use a screwdriver to spread it like that. You'll do less damage to the case. Like so. Wow, that one's loose. Well, I got a cure for that. There. Just like that. And for some reason, I am missing a clip. I must have misplaced one somewhere along the line.
So obviously, if you're rebuilding this,
that's pretty tight.
You
Just
could
do that.
spend more time, I don't know, cleaning it or painting it or something. But, you know, I kind of like the look of the original factory case just left alone.
Like so. So what I did was, I forgot the washer that spaces the air door and the clip on the bottom. Clip on the bottom was no problem, but I had to take it all apart again to get that spacer down there so this door moves more freely. Yeah. Be sure to trim that foam exactly to the metal flapper. When I was using the contact cement, it caused the foam to expand, and I left it like that, but it made it drag around all the edges. So I ended up having to trim that too. So everything is done deal now. That will wrap it up. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you wish. I'll just keep working on Betsy, and eventually it's going to be on the road. Later.